Black Mirror, Season 5, Episode 3. Rachel, Jack, and Ashley 2. Welcome back to another Floppyleggs YouTube video. If you're not subscribed, straight away, do it now. Cheers. We're going into the final episode of Season 5 today, Rachel, Jack, and Ashley 2. One that I watched when it first came out and haven't seen since. What do I think about this episode? What do I rate it out of 10? Leave a comment down below what you rate it out of 10. And let's get into it. Spoiler warning ahead. Starting off with the story. Rachel and Jack are sisters. Their dad is an exterminator, but an ethical exterminator he doesn't exterminate. He frees the mice. I actually really don't like mice and mouse and rats and blah, 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 blah. Anything like that, I get the heebie-jeebies. So that was already a doctor point for that, just to let you know. Let me know what you're most fearful of. They've obviously recently lost, that went from very silly to very serious, very quick. They recently lost their mother and they've moved to a new town. Rachel has no friends at school. She's struggling to fit in, but she has a love and a fandom for Ashley O, you know, the character played by Miley Cyrus. And she's a pop star. She talks about believing in yourself and just being true to yourself and being happy and lovely and pink hair and dancey dance. And Rachel finds solitude in her music and her celebrity. She engages with everything and anything. Posters on the wall, watching her music videos, watching her interviews, everything and anything. She's absolutely infatuated, and she's actually probably formed a bit of a parasocial relationship. And if you don't know what a parasocial relationship is, basically it's forming a relationship with somebody in the public eye, someone that doesn't even know you exist. People can build very strong relationships with those people, thinking that they know them, thinking that they're friends, maybe even something more than friends. And they build this image in their head of what their relationship is like. Because you spend so much time engaging with them, you build it even more and more. And it can be, as we see in this episode, quite unhealthy. But she has this relationship forming there, and that's where she's probably formed that to fill the void of her lost mother. That was actually probably a very dark undertone to this episode, where it's not dark, but a deep undertone to the episode, especially with Jack. You know, she's always putting her headphones on, playing the music, and we find out later on what music she listens to is all that her mum used to listen to. And that just instantly hits you, because you can only imagine in that scenario what you would do, and it probably would be that at such a young age as well, both of them. And of course, in the interview that we see Ashley O doing with her aunt in the background pulling the strings, she tells us to bring out the doll, and it's not just any doll, it's an AI responsive doll that is called Ashley 2, and you can get your very own Ashley O in your bedroom, in your home, with you, your friend. It's Ashley O, but yours. It's a decent idea. We'll get into that for the concept. Speaking of, anyone want to buy my Floppy 2? Sounds a little bit different when I say it out loud. Moving on very swiftly. And of course, Rachel desperately wants this, and she's asked for it for her birthday. In the same realm, across the other way, we see Ashley O, and she doesn't love her life. She's looking out after one of her performances. She's looking out to the crowd. She's looking at to a club where people, her age mates, are going out having fun. She's longing for, a normal life, or longing for a different life that she currently isn't living. And of course, we find out that's greatly due to her auntie and the team that they've built around her, basically just treating her like a product. And quite early on, you see that although they're worlds apart, they are not too dissimilar, these two, Rachel and Ashley O, in the sense that they are somewhat outcasts in their own life, with Rachel not making friends and feeling like no one wants to talk to her, with Ashley O living a fake, false life where she wants to do XYZ, but she knows she never can because she's just at her aunt's whim. So long story short, Rachel gets the Ashley 2. She talks to it. She's enjoying it. She ends up going to do a performance, the dance performance in the stage show. I can't lie, guys. I watched it, but I was cringing my ass off. And that's what you're supposed to do. It was supposed to be really cringy and horrible. It was to show that Rachel is that, not deluded, but that infatuated with Ashley O and Ashley 2, that she will do anything that... But it's not even bad. You know what I mean? Like Ashley 2 saying, believe in yourself. And when she's leaving the house saying, I can do anything that I believe I can do. I can do anything I can believe I can do. Like, that's a good message to give a kid. Do you know what I mean? Like, that is a good ethos to grow up on. Of course, though, it's what Jack's saying. There's realms to it, I can do anything I want to do. When she grows up, she'll look back on that and be like, why did I put all that makeup on and the pink wig and do all that terrible, weird dance in front of all of my classmates? Do you know what I mean? But it's like a little bit of a parallel where, like, you know what, it's not even a bad message that she's being told here, but it's been applied in a very, detrimental way, because it was never going to go well. So of course, with that in her mind, Jack hides the Ashley 2 doll, and we see it kick off, and it kind of shows their relationship. Rachel literally says, "You've never played that music out loud. You've secluded yourself. You don't even talk to me anymore." Do you know what I mean? Like, you've done that since mum died. And like, maybe Jack realizes in that moment what's happened. And I think it's interesting that she doesn't play the music out loud. Maybe she's a little bit insecure about it as well. You learn a little bit more in that very subtle, short engagement. And you have to connect some dots with them two and like this family, because you got to remember you got to feel like what it's like to lose the mum in that scenario at such a young age. It's going to impact so many things. And like Jack putting the Ashley 2 up there, she's filling the void of the mother that's no longer there for Rachel. She's trying to look out for her as a mother would, keeping it away from her, not throwing it out, because that's harsh, but taking it away from her and keeping it away from her, because it's not healthy to have that as your only friend. And I think that is maybe a potential scary future in real life. This next generation growing up with the AI tools that we have growing and developing, who knows where we'll end up. And this episode came out in 2019, 6 years on, and this world doesn't seem too mental. We'll talk about that when we get to the concept though. Of course, we can progress much further now. Ashley O has not been taking her medicine, her drugs that have been given to her by the team around her, to basically make her very complicit to what they're asking her to do, perform the music that she doesn't want to do, get up and do this, do that, make more songs for the album. She's been hoarding them. They've got a camera, they can see it. She's taken her diary. The evil Aunt Catherine drugs her in her takeout food, and it makes her go into a coma. And they tell the world that she had some shellfish allergy that they didn't know about, and she's in a coma because of that. And while she's in the coma, they're able to access her mind, and hear the notes that she's playing in her head, because she created all of her music in her dreams, and that's basically a dreamlike state that she's in right now. And they use the AI voice that they created for the Ashley 2 doll to create the voice that is singing. So what they realize is they don't even need a living version of her, or a moving, alive, running around version of Ashley O. She just needs to be comatose, and they can access all they want from her in that moment, because she is just a product to them. As I said, she is just as much as a product as the Ashley 2 doll. And of course, the Ashley 2 that Rachel has not been turned on for months, as she's obviously dealt with the fact that this Ashley O's in this coma. And in the interview, it wakes her up, and she finds out that herself, is in this coma. Basically, the doll crashes, and they take it to the technology downstairs that their dad has. This bit's a bit silly, like, oh, we'll just plug in the USB-C. Oh, there's a thing that I can delete to. Oh, okay, it's a little bit silly how it comes about, but this doll is a sentient sort of being. It's a synaptic snapshot, they say, of the actual Ashley O, which I think was really cool to play out in that way. I forgot how interesting that was. And she's, physically in pain at the USB-C chargers in the back of her, and she's like, "Get it off me." And she's her true self, which is a bit off-putting for Jack and Rachel at first, but it's so interesting to see it play out. So what we learned is they didn't actually just do voice recordings of her voice. They took an synaptic snapshot of her. That is her at that moment in time, fully her in that doll. Very similar, I imagine, to what it was like in Black Museum with the keychains that were given out as souvenirs for the guests and the customers at that museum. So we're going to skip on. They end up breaking into Ashley O's home, pretending to be part of the exterminator team, the ethical exterminators. I'm sorry, man. This was silly. This was silly. This was so silly. And it really took me out of the episode. Really took me out of the episode. What was the whole point of the dad creating this ethical, zap you mousetrap thing? Was it just so that she could use it to stun the henchman? If that is the case, what a waste of what a load of baloney. I mean, it worked in her favor, but wow. The AI, Ashley 2, was lying about trying to find the information. She pulls the plug on Ashley O, and we find out that she's obviously, to us, dead in that moment, and Rachel's crying her eyes out. But it actually woke her up, because of course she wasn't actually comatose. The machine was keeping her comatose so that they could just access the things that they needed from her and not deal with all the hassle of her trying to do different things and go against the grain, which is really, really dark. And the guy comes in to inject her, and then they end up injecting him. What I realize here, of course, at this point, they're in too deep. They've seen what's happened. Ashley has been kept captive, whatever. Like, well, okay, you would elevate it. But if an AI doll thing started telling me, break into this house, do XYZ. I wouldn't do it. Like, with the information that Rachel and Jack had in that moment, what on earth are they doing? I know they're young, maybe a bit naive, but maybe Jack's just trying to do it for Rachel because Rachel has been absent from her for so long. So maybe that's why Jack's going to this extremity. That took us a while to get out. They end up freeing Ashley. They go into the car and they're in a little bit of a police chase because they're running red lights and things. And they end up driving all the way to the stadium where Catherine is doing a pitch for basically ABBA Voyage. If you don't know what ABBA Voyage is, it's literally the hologram version of the young versions of the ABBA band performing live at concerts. ABBA Voyage came out in 2021. This episode came out in 2019. Did ABBA Voyage base it off of that? Because it is a cool concept, isn't it? We'll get into that very shortly, but it's mental how that has actually genuine real life. This episode has a lot of real life applications to it to some degree, which I found very interesting. Catherine goes to the floor. The aunt, she's like, please don't let me die. Please don't let me die. Please don't let me die. And Ashley O walks out the car and it cuts to her looking straight down the barrel of the lens saying, fuck. And what I think in that moment is that is her dying. Like, her career, her life, the world and the fame that she built for herself through Ashley O is over. It's donezo. So that was the life that she was actually fearful of dying in that moment. Not actually her dying. Of course, that would have meant the same thing. But she was actually, in hindsight, just fearful of losing the life that she built for herself at the expense of Ashley O. And of course, it ends with Ashley performing like a heavy metal sort of vibe in a different venue with a much smaller crowd. I found it funny seeing the OG fans of her, the kids coming in, like those two kids, and being like, this is terrible. And we'll get to this when we talk about the characters, but it obviously is probably a very similar path to what actually happened with Miley Cyrus, going from Hannah Montana to that little stint in the middle of Miley Cyrus going a bit rogue. Moving over to the concept, and as I mentioned already, this concept I think is very good. Just talking about Ashley 2 for a second. The whole conversation, like sitting there, like, oh, what's your favorite song? How did you create this song? All these conversations she's having with this Ashley 2 doll. We are in this world. Like, we are here. That is reality. We literally, a few months ago, were chatting to Darth Vader in Fortnite. What is your favorite Taylor Swift song?
General Grievous. Your obsession with popular music rivals your skill with a lightsaber.
Damn.
Disappointing. And yet, I must respond. And so, it is Shake It Off.
And I don't know, it is scary. As I said before, I've spoken about AI on this channel before and like the future of it and where it could go and what could happen, the ramifications of it. What Rachel was forming, as I said, was a parasocial relationship. I haven't even thought about this properly until recording this. Like right now, she was forming a parasocial relationship anyway, in a quote unquote normal way, as you do as a kid. You kind of form those sort of extreme fandoms as you do. And then with the Ashley 2 doll, it developed it further, and that's what Jack noticed and said, okay, this isn't your friend, this isn't real, this isn't healthy. What was stopping that from being life now? So maybe some of that is a bit of a recluse. You know, they don't have many friends. They might find that solitude in an AI realm. And I literally, there was a thing I did a video on of an AI best friend, where you literally click a button, you talk and say, this sandwich is really nice. And they say, yeah, it looks really good. Like, hopefully you're enjoying it. Make that anyone's voice, because anyone's voice is available now. You know, you can take anyone's voice and make it a Taylor Swift sounding doll. We're entering like genuine. I don't know if I'm being like tinfoil in the hat and the head sort of situation, but like the sky is falling, but that is genuinely going to happen. I'm not going to say it's happened to everyone. It's not going to be like a tidal wave, a snowball effect of happening to so many people, but there will be people that fall through the cracks and genuinely go down this path that Rachel almost went down because of this AI tool that can just be the Ashley 2 in the future. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And then of course the concepts of the coma, being able to access the music from her mind, again, a beautiful thing, but used in such a malicious way. Like, I'm not trying to say what they were doing was nice, but like the idea that you could maybe like access the dreams in that way would be lovely, or would be able to like have some form of communication. But she wasn't actually in a coma, and they used her as a tool. Like, so that has got a bit of a sour note to it. And I think like the concept maybe again of how this celebrity, this pop star, was a manufactured product, which I feel like when you get older, you know that is the case. Like, these aren't the people that they portray themselves as 9 times out of 10. They are products made by people higher up, their management team, and that's literally what Ashley O is, unfortunately. That's kind of the concept as well that we explore. And then of course the fact that it was a sentient snapshot of Ashley O in the doll. It wasn't even really AI. They literally took it, as I said, like the Black Museum keychain. It's literally, that is her. So like that even entered a realm, like they didn't like dispose of it, but all of those dolls that got disposed of, I guess with the blocker on, maybe it isn't as bad, but they were, you know, not, why were they different to the teddy bear in Black Museum? Do you know what I mean? Like there's a little question there, like a morality thing of like, damn, they didn't just do some crazy, the morals of Catherine the aunt, they don't need to be questioned at all. They were awful throughout. But that is like a little side note. That's proper dark. But yeah, the concept of it being 2 random fans breaking in as exterminators, you can miss me with that. You could have done so much more. So much more. You could have changed it. You could have done something different there. Meh. Moving on to the characters, they are a bit meh for me overall. Of course, Ashley O is quite literally the representation of Miley Cyrus, Hannah Montana, the pink hair, the pop songs, all of this, but then her true self was probably something different. Obviously in this episode it's a bit darker, maybe a little bit more heavy metal, like more underground than what she did. She was just twerking on stage and swinging on wrecking balls, but you know, there is definitely a parallel there to what we saw in real life. As I've mentioned, the sisters already, they're both dealing with the loss of their mum and how that really works for them. As I said, Rachel's forming this parasocial relationship, whereas Jack is like keeping herself to herself and like getting kind of reclused and finding that solitude in a different way, playing music to herself. Eventually we see her come out of her shell at the end, playing the music for other people, which was nice. The dad is completely irrelevant, unless you can tell me a reason for that mouth, unless there's a stupid metaphor that, oh, Ashley O was the mouse and she was in the trap by her aunt. Like, okay, yes, there's a different, like, you could definitely make a connection there. I'm not going to say that's wrong. Like, that, to be fair, that is quite a great point from me. Fucking fantastic, off the dome that was. But no, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. His presence there, they could have done something different with him. I don't know, man. It just felt like kind of a nothing thing. I think the ramifications of him leaving when his daughter's out there to do her dance that she's clearly like very nervous about, him leaving to talk about the mouse, you lost me there, man. Like, come on. And then when he says it to her, like, I imagine it was good, she should have been like, why didn't you watch it? Do you know what I mean? Call him out, man. What the hell? And the other thing I want to mention about the Ashley O character, yeah, you've been kidnapped, basically, forced into a coma. You're running for your life, escaping from this building, this house, your home. You run out, the first car you see they're getting into, because it's got a mouse design on it, you're like, I'm not getting in that. What the hell are you on about? Like, what? No one would do that. If you would get in the first getaway car you can get into to prevent her from signing the contract that would ruin your life. It felt like maybe it was a comment again, like maybe it was like she was a celebrity from young, like she maybe is detached from reality, like this is just a car that looks funny, like not everything is a Porsche or a massive Range Rover, what have you. But it just felt like that was unnecessary. And of course, the twist, as I mentioned, they get there, the aunt basically loses everything, and then she lives her life, making the music that she wants to, performing to the people that she wants to, and not being this manufactured product pop star that she no longer wanted to be. So that was like a happy ending for her. You know, Jack's playing the music now, she's comfortable in her own skin, probably comfortable, you know, expressing herself in that way. And Rachel's like slowly coming to terms with that this isn't the music that she wants, but you know, she's here for the story. But I'm just gonna be honest, the first half was good. This episode is decent in the first half. It's not bad in the second half, but it loses me. And I think it lost a lot of people because a lot of people say this is one of the worst episodes. I think I've watched worse. Metalhead was definitely worse than this. I can't remember what ones I've put so far down low, but you'll see in the list very shortly. But I thought this one was good enough to give a 6.5 out of 10. I think it is just an okay episode. I would never choose to rewatch it. Like, I'd never be like, hey, you watch some Black Mirror? Put on that Rachel, Jack and Ashley 2 right now. Nah, you can miss me with that again. But, you know, I think it has more value than a lot of people make out to it. And I actually think as Black Mirror episodes go, this might be the one that's hit the nail on the head for the technology. You've got ABBA Voyage knocked off. That is like literally a thing. Obviously, that's to a bigger extreme, actually a cooler extreme. The fact that they can do the live show across the world with the projection. But that literally is ABBA Voyage. And then the AI toy. But yeah, decent episode. Not one to sing home about. There's definitely a lot better, as you can see from the list on the screen right now. Thank you for coming through to another Floppylegss YouTube video. Make sure you leave a comment down below of what you rate this episode out of 10. And if you're not subscribed, literally what you're waiting for, do it right now. Appreciate you coming through. I've been Floppylegss, and I'll see you when I see you.